questions that are being asked I'd like to mostly address, so this is my preference, is questions that affect how you walk, questions about living this out. What he's always told me is, tell them that if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, they'll be where they're supposed to be. But you need a teacher to teach you what it is you need to be doing.
I wanted to say thank you for everything. And during the zone meeting, you talked to somebody, well, you said to call you coach, right? And
that wasn't during the zone meeting,
anyway.
That was Friday night. That was during the Torah study.
Okay. Well, yeah. During the Torah study. I know you said it because I've been through all of them. But anyway, I wanted to say thank you because even though, endurance is big time on that, and I want to say thank you because of I've chosen to endure and I've chosen peace and everything. My situation, being at home and listening to you and stuff doesn't mean that I'm not doing what you tell us to do, working on the 7 areas, and I have, and I want to thank God for that, especially for you, because I've put a goal for my weight, and I'm actually 2 pounds from being at my goal. I lost 48 pounds since March, since I started working. I'm working now on, getting out of debt, all of that stuff. And I feel like so much peace, but it's not because I'm anywhere, but ever since I chose to prefer peace and to prefer working on myself and everything, I want to thank you because I've just been working on those challenges and
awesome.
Doing that. So I'm really, really grateful for that and just wanted to say thank you. But also, if I could, one more thing, on the, and not to say anything, but on the oil situation, in 2 Kings 4, 5, and 6, this is the story about, it's Elisha, right? And it's about the woman that loses her husband, and they're coming for her sons. And the prophet, and I believe that her husband was a prophet, but the prophet told her to go and gather oil, and it did not run out until the last bottle was filled,
right?
Which is a miracle in itself. And then you have another one where it talks about in 1 Kings 17:16, where the lady, where Elijah actually goes and tells her to bake a cake, and she says, she only has enough for one cake for her and her son, and then they will die during the famine. But the oil was provided, the oil and the flour were provided for them until the famine was over. So I know I like those stories with the oil, but I just wanted to say that. I mean, just to bring about the oil.
There are a lot of inspiring, things and accounts, including ones that have to do with either food or oil and those kind of things that are miraculously provided. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's anything that happened when it comes to the Hanukkah stuff, but it's just something that are things that are in Scripture that are inspiring, and they certainly are. Okay, and so did you have a question about anything, or are you?
I do. I called this week, but didn't hear back. But and I know y'all are really busy. But I had a question on So I know in the scriptures, I think it's in Leviticus, it talks about if your animal goes out I think the word is gores. So my dogs are Belgium. They're mixed Belgium and one's Husky and one's Coahuila. Has attacked 4 animals, killed one, and just kind of, that's what I was calling about earlier this week was, because of their aggressiveness, what should I do?
All right, I'm going to need to hear more of the story. We can do this and just make an appointment. Elder now knows that you want to make an appointment, so call during the week and we'll set up an appointment. But basically the bottom line is, if you know that your dogs did this and your dogs are capable of doing this, you're going to need to deal with those dogs, okay? And I don't care how much your heart's into those dogs are a menace if they're doing these things, okay? Because it's either the dog's fault or your fault for letting them get out, one of the two, okay? So, yeah, you're going to have to own and do something with these dogs, all right?
Okay.
But like I said, if you want to get into more detail and more specifics with it, just go ahead and make an appointment and we'll talk about it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Is it okay to transfer our tithes from one bank account to another and then pay them on Shabbat?
Is it okay? I didn't catch the last part. Is it okay to transfer from one bank account to another bank account to do what?
So for Mark and I specifically, we have our tithes are all in a separate bank account. So is it okay to transfer them from the main checking account to our tithe account and then to log on to m.t.o.i and actually pay our tithes? Is it okay to do those things on Shabbat?
If you can't do it on Friday, the moving the money around, I mean, because maybe you get paid at the end of Friday or something and that's how it works out, I mean, then that would be fine. Because your effort there is not to do business or banking. Your effort there is to get money into where you can go ahead and pay your tithes and offerings. Okay, so that's fine, all right? However, the rule always is, if it can be done before, it should be done before, okay? So I'm not imagining too many scenarios where you shouldn't be able to do that before Shabbat, okay? So I would not be doing that on Shabbat unless there's a reason that the only way to do it would be on Shabbat, all right?
And so then if it didn't get done before Shabbat, since there's no Torah that it has to be paid within a certain amount of time of getting paid, would it be better to wait till after Shabbat?
I know people like to give their offerings on Shabbat and pay their tithes on Shabbat. There's no place that says to do that, okay? You could always do it on Sunday or Monday or Tuesday, and that's fine, okay? And so, again, I would like to avoid getting onto a business banking website on Shabbat. I don't have a problem going on the m.t.o.i app and just saying tithe or offering, because that's like you're walking up to the box and just putting something in the box. But I'm not going to get on a bank website and try to do any kind of banking stuff if I can avoid it, okay? And it should be avoidable because it's not a rush to have to do this on Shabbat. As a matter of fact, you can see, because tithe was stuff back in Paul's day, they took up their offering on Sunday. Not because they worshiped on Sunday, but because they couldn't do it on Shabbat. See, Christians, you got to understand the context of what's going on. Well, Paul was doing Sunday. No, he wasn't. He took up an offering on Sunday to collect a lot of stuff to bring over to this other place that he was going. I think he was bringing it to headquarters in Jerusalem. And he couldn't do that on a Shabbat. You're not going to have people bring a bunch of animals and food and all this stuff and pile it all up to bring to Jerusalem on Shabbat. So he took up his collection on Sunday. Okay? So there is no instruction to do this stuff. Now, offerings were made on Shabbat. In the temple, offerings were made on Shabbat. As a matter of fact, there was more things going on Shabbat than there was most of the other days. Okay? So what I would say is, unless there's a reason where you just have to do it, which I can't imagine there is, do the banking on Friday, transfer the money over, make it something that you have a habit of doing, and then have it set up. Now again, if you get paid, 5 o'clock on Friday, and it's already sundown or whatever, but you want to put that tithe in, and all you got to do is move it from one bank account to the other and then do it, I don't really have a problem with that. I would like you to avoid it if you could. Okay?
Julia has a question for you. She's counseled with you about some situations with her adult daughter, and she wants some clarification on a thing that has come up, that her So her daughter has 3 children. The oldest is a 16-year-old son, and that grandson of Julia has been contacting her, wanting to have a relationship, where the mother has said she doesn't want a relationship with Julia and she doesn't want her children to have a relationship. So what should Julia's response be to a teenage grandson who wants to have a relationship with her when his own mother doesn't want him to?
Look, you have to respect the actual mother until the child is an adult. The child can then do whatever they want. Child's 16, the mother says, I don't want you talking to grandma. Well, that's between the 16-year-old and the mother, okay? You should be respecting the mother. When the kid turns 18, kid can do whatever they want, all right? Now, the mother may not like it if the kid still lives in their house, but we're dealing with adult according to the legal age of where we live today, okay? All right, I'm not going to, if my child had children and my child did not want their children to interact with me, I'm not going to cause a fight between me and them over that, okay? If the child contacts me, I say, listen, I'd love a relationship with you too. I don't want to create a problem with your mother. Give me 2 years and we can have any relationship you want. Then you can go have a fight with your mother over whether or not you as an adult can have a relationship with me, okay? Okay, and if you want a relationship with me and you want to go to war with your mother, that's up to you. I'm not going to be the reason for that. Does that make sense? Because look, as a 16-year-old, I might have gone to war with my parents over something because I was pretty much that kind of a 16-year-old, all right? But that's up to the 16-year-old, but it cannot have any smell, hint, or anything that you pressed that button at all, that you were behind it, because that's not going to work for your daughter, okay? For the child's mother, not at all, okay? So I would try to keep out of that, especially we're talking about not a 5-year-old, we're talking about a 16-year-old. Okay, the clock is ticking very fast on that thing being over where that child will do whatever they want, all right? Okay, what else?
I am struggling with the issue of asking for things in prayer, Rabbi. We know from your teachings that there's only a certain core number of things that we have promises from Scripture that we can stand on in prayer, so to speak. So where is this thing of, Yahweh doesn't change, so asking him to do things, but if he doesn't change, then hasn't he already made the decision of what he's going to do? So why ask him for anything other than strength to endure? I guess I'm struggling with that.
No, that's a good question. Look, I agree with you 100% on what you just said. I don't ask him for much. I don't ask him for things, for sure, okay? I'll ask him for wisdom to lead me to where I can find wisdom to make a decision or to make a change or to fix a problem or to understand what the problem is so I can fix it or whatever. I don't ever ask him, I shouldn't say ever, I mean, in my life, I don't know as I changed and how I understood prayer as I grew up, but I certainly at this point don't ask him to do things, all right? I don't. The things that I can't do, I already know what he's gonna do. I know what he's already said that he's gonna do. I know how he's gonna handle it. Ultimately, if I do my part, do everything the best I can, et cetera, his part will get me the end result of the kingdom, et cetera, okay? I don't ask him for anything. I know Christianity taught you to get on your knees and ask for everything and to beg for everything and to plead for everything because you want to have intervention on the consequences of real life, okay? I will go into a meditative place, meaning I'm thinking, not like actually meditating, but I'll sit in front of the computer or in front of something, trying to come up with a solution to the problem, as opposed to going on my knees and praying for him to give me a solution to the problem, okay? That's just a different approach. When I pray, what do I pray? I thank him. I appreciate him. I praise him, I let him know some things I'm struggling with. And hey, if you could allow me to run into somebody or something that'll help, I'll pull up a video or something that'll help me with this answer, that'd be great. But I don't ask really for stuff, I talk to him like he's my father. I say, hey, listen, when I'm talking, I don't say, hey, listen. I say, look, I'm praying, I say, Father, I'm really struggling with this one thing and I don't know what to do. I mean, it'd be great if somehow I could accidentally trip over something that might look like an answer or a path towards an answer or something, okay? But I don't really even ask for that stuff most of the time because I know he's gonna do it anyway. As long as I'm aiming and working and striving, he's gonna help line some things up. That's just the way it works, okay? So I'm with you on this, Megan. I don't struggle with it the way you are at the moment because I've accepted that that's just the way it is. I don't ask him for hardly anything. okay?
I would say my struggle is not, my struggle is, okay, then am I supposed to even really ask for anything other than help internally to get through the hard things in life, and to ask for help for other people to get through the hard things that they're going through? I guess that's where the struggle is.
Right, so,
is there really any more that I should be asking for?
All right, so let's say you're my daughter, okay? And you came to me and said, hey, Dad, I'm really struggling with this, that, or the other thing. So I might guide you towards a resource to help you with that thing, all right? And that's kind of when, so when you're talking to me, you may not ask me for anything, but you're telling me, hey, I'm struggling with something. My daughter calls me, my son calls me, they do that sometimes. Hey, I'm really struggling with this, or I'm having a problem with that. And they're not necessarily asking for anything, but if I happen to know something, I might give them a little something that goes in that way. But more often than not, they're not really asking. They're we're just talking, we're having a relationship. Hey, I'm doing great with this, and this is going this way, and this thing I'm struggling with over here, and I'm hearing all that. And then as a father, I may decide to help in some way if there's something that I feel is appropriate that's not going to get in the way of their growth, that they need to experience their own challenges and get some growth, okay? And so think of it more that way, Megan, when you're talking to him, that it's not so much that you're asking for stuff, you're sharing what's going on in your life. Hey, praise him and thank him for giving you whatever little things that have happened in your life, that now things are going great in this particular area. Be happy about that. But then there's another area that's not doing so great. And you might want to say, listen, I'm really struggling in this area. I'm really not sure what to do. I just want to talk to you about that. And by the way, if you see fit to kind of nudge something here or there where I can run into it and figure it out, that'd be great. I'm going to struggle to figure it out myself. Okay? I'm going to try to by figure it out myself, I mean, I'm going to look for the advisor, the mentor, the counselor, the person that has the expertise. All right? Because he's not going to give you a download on how to fix your problem. Okay? And maybe your problem is your car keeps breaking down and the person you've had fix it is doing a terrible job and you need a new mechanic. That's a real problem. Okay? Or a medical person or some other person that's in your life that you need a new one. Okay? Next thing you know, you might run into somebody who happens to know somebody or whatever, and that's what you're looking for. I'm still looking. I'm still making the effort to look. Okay? But I'm not going to say, Father, can you please provide me with a new mechanic? I might have a conversation about, man, I'm really struggling with this thing. I don't know what to do with this car. My mechanic keeps making it worse, all right? So if you can, if I'm going to ask, I might say, look, so if you can help create an opportunity for me to run into somebody that has an answer, solution, or whatever, that'd be great. Okay?
That is wonderful. Thank you. That actually ties into the last question I have. Trying to navigate this line between having done all and emunah. I'm blue, and blue wants to fix everything. And so sometimes there is a line where
all right, so
I struggle with this.
All right, so if you were a student and we're back in the 70s, I'd make you go up to the board with a chalk and write 100 times, okay, it is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. Any of you ever had to go up to the chalkboard? You were a bad kid? I was a bad kid. I had to be put up at the chalkboard all the time. I will not chew gum in class. I will not chew gum in class, whatever. That was the worst, boy. You had to write all this stuff. I had to climb up on things. I was a midget and I couldn't reach the board to write, because there wasn't enough room to write that many 100 times just on the bottom of the board, So I'm balancing on chairs, on tables, trying to, not exactly, but, make you guys laugh a little bit. But seriously, Megan, you need to get to that allowing place, okay? Let the red come out a little bit. People think red is all this mean, this, that. No, red is all about allowing, okay? I mean, it's about leadership and other things too, but a lot of it is about allowing. It is what it is. It's about, that should be like the catchphrase for the red. It is what it is, okay? See, the blues answer to everything is it needs to be what it needs to be. Okay? No, it doesn't need to be. Okay? It is what it is. But it's not right, but it is what it is. That's a blue-red argument right there. But it's not right, but it works. But it wasn't right, but it works. That's another blue-red argument. But you did it wrong, but it worked. That's not supposed to go there, but it works. Okay? It is what it is, okay? All right, anything else, Megan?
I want to just make one comment and then I'm done. Rabbi, we are now, 7 weeks into our first third tithe year. I was no peace, no shalom going into it, but we were going to do it anyway. And Rabbi, Abba has provided for us in ways that, sorry, choked up because I can't believe the peace that I have right now. And we're in third tithe year and I was so scared of it. And I just know that we're doing the right thing and he's providing for us. Like when we came home from Sukkot, Mark got a notice that he was getting this little tiny cost of living increase on his hourly rate. And it's like all these different things. Even though we've had some financial things pop up, we're still okay. And I just want to give a praise to just doing things his way.
Awesome. Awesome. And thank you for mentioning things like cost of living raises and stuff, because I got half my staff looking at me now. It is Shabbat. Stop looking at me. All right, now. But also, Megan already left the room, but also she's still listening. But anyway, also for all of you, okay, third tithe is only going to be scary or whatever you want to call it if you're not doing it every year. What are you talking about, Rabbi? Most of you have heard me teach this. Take that third tithe amount out every year so your budget is the same every year. Just in year 1 and 2, use it to pay your debt, use it to invest, use it towards a house, use it for something. Don't spend it on stuff. Okay? Use it in a very effective way. Then in year 3, you give it. But you're used to not having that in your budget. Okay? So don't use it on budget items. Okay? You don't use it to buy a toy or this or go on a vacation. It's for moving ahead, moving forward. Because a lot of you say, well, I don't have any money to invest. Well, third tithe. Out of 7 years, you get 5 of them where you get to invest. Okay? Put it towards something. Put it towards getting out of debt and getting yourself finally into an emergency fund and everything else. Do with it, but then it's not scary, it's your normal budget. You have the same budget every year, not just, oh, it's the 3rd year, it's the 6th year. Okay? Learn to live on that every year and put it proper. I've got some people in here that are just so excited about some investing they want to start doing because they're just finishing their 3rd tithe year and now they can take their money and put it towards something because they're used to living in that budget. Easiest for you to do this starting year 4 because you just did 3rd tithe. Keep going. Don't go back to the other thing and then start just blowing your money on stuff. You're used to living without it, keep living without it. Okay? And then do the baby steps like Dave Ramsey teaches you. Make sure you got your emergency fund, get out of debt, then put away your 3 to 6 months of expenses. Okay? Do the things you're supposed to do. Use that money to do those things. Okay? Don't go out and start investing in a bunch of stuff when that isn't done. Okay? Because as soon as one of those things goes sideways, you're going to, really be stressed, especially if the money's in an investment you can't just pull it out of. Okay? Get yourself financially right. Use that money. So Megan, that would be my encouragement for you. Hopefully she was by the time delay and everything, by the time she gets back out to hear this, this is your 3rd tithe year? Good. Keep doing that in year 4 and year 5 so that by the time you get to year 6, you're used to it. Okay? Look, some of the people that I've listened to, they say you should be living on 20% and putting the 80% into everything else. Some of you are like, what? Well, you get your life right and get your finances right, you can live on 50%, 40%. Once you get money, making money for you, not just you making money for you. Some of you are like, I can't live on 100%. That's a problem that you can fix. All right? Now, I love the tithing idea because it forces you to realize you can live on a little less. Okay? And trust me, once you get your finances right, tithing will be a pleasure. Okay, you'll be excited to do it. It won't hurt your budget. You know that it's part of the reason why you have a good budget. All right? Because part of tithing is learning how to handle your money. Because you can't tithe right if you not have any idea what you're doing with your money. So for a lot of you, it was your first learning of personal finance was when you had a tithe. You had no idea what you had coming in or going out until you had to learn to tithe. It forced you to be, we'll call it financial intelligence. It forced you to work on your financial IQ, okay? And part of it now, this is a suggestion, not a right ruling from me. Do this every year. And in the years that are not third tithe years, 3 and 6 out of the 7, use it. Don't spend it, use it, put it to work, okay? Don't consume it. It's not for consumables. Okay, just throwing that out there because I think it's great that she brought that up so I could just throw that at you. Please, I've said this in the tithing teachings, I've said it other times. You are missing out on a tremendous blessing opportunity for your future if you would just do this, okay? If you can make it through year 3, why can't you do 4, 5 also? Just live on the same amount of money you did in year 3. But take that extra 10% and put it to hard use. Make it work hard, put it to use.
I just had one question. So like when you go to a restaurant and like they have like unclean foods, like is cross-contaminating something like that we should be aware of? Like if they put like the meat with the pork or like.
All right, so here's the thing, all right? Good question, really good question. There's nothing that you can do unless you do it all yourself that completely avoids cross-contamination. I don't care if you're buying packaged food that was processed somewhere, there is the chance for cross-contamination everywhere, okay? Okay, you go and buy a package of chicken in a store, that chicken may have been in the same place, some other stuff like that. Cross-contamination is unavoidable, okay? So you do the best you can though. I mean, if you're aware of some stuff that you know for sure is cross-contaminated, you avoid it if you can, all right? Now, you're not eating out anywhere unless it's a vegan, vegetarian type place where you can completely avoid cross-contamination. Okay, you don't know what they're cooking it on or what they're cooking it in and how they cleaned whatever the skillet after the this or the that. It's just not so simple, okay? It's not so simple, okay? Now, there are some places that make it a little bit easier. Okay, I really enjoy, a couple of times in my life, I like to go to like a Japanese hibachi place where they cook the food in front of you. If you tell them you're allergic to certain things, they will cook your food separate from everybody else's and it won't get cross-contaminated while they're cooking. They'll use separate utensils and spatula, whatever they're using. All their stuff is separate, okay? And that's all well and good too. But if you're in a restaurant, there's no way to know, okay, completely. The main thing is you're not actively eating and ordering shellfish or pork or something that you know you shouldn't be eating, okay? And you ask, does this dish come with that in it, all right? You go to most places and order like a loaded baked potato, you better ask if there's bacon on it because that's part of the loaded, okay? But you ask. I learned that I came into the South, if I'm getting green beans, I better ask if there's pork in it. And not just pork chunks, it could be the lard they cooked it in, okay? Or they just added some for the flavor, because we all need to taste pig. All right, you never thought of it that way, did you? All right, so yes, you go to restaurants, that's fine. Make sure you order the right stuff. Make sure that the stuff doesn't have, that stuff as part of the actual dish. Okay, that's what you do, okay?
Okay, thank you. You are amazing.
No, thank you, appreciate it. Was that it? Okay, that was it.
So I had a question about whenever, because I'm new, and I just had a question about whenever you're starting this walk and you're making a lot of changes, you're making changes to your diet, you're setting apart yourself on Shabbat, and you get to a point where you're not making as many changes and it feels like you're in this honeymoon phase at first and things kind of start to slow down and you already know things, so you're not learning, you're still learning new things, but it's not as fast paced and you get kind of stagnant. Do you have like any advice on whenever it starts to get a little stagnant and you're not making those big changes and it doesn't feel as new?
Okay, so life will give you enough things eventually to wake you back up, so just be patient with that.
Okay.
The rest of them out here are like, just wait. Okay, so, but what you want to do is understand that, and we talk about this at Rosh Chodesh, if you ever go to Rosh Chodesh and attend with us, is that we have these markers of time where we're supposed to be doing a level of, a certain amount of self-evaluation. okay? And that's where you look at yourself and say, okay, how much of this have I really put to use? Are there areas that I'm sort of like not really doing it yet? Am I getting complacent? Do I have the energy that I need to have moving, forward in this? Because what's gonna happen is at some point, you go from doing to being, okay? And when you go from doing to being, you're not as consciously aware of it anymore because you're being, okay? It's kind of like the idea I use as an example, like when you're learning to drive a car. I mean, my gosh, there's so many things to think about. I had a really cool driver's ed guy, because the first thing he had us do was, he said, what's the first thing you do when you get in the car? And someone said this, that. He says, no, you're gonna turn on the radio. So he had us make sure we knew where the radio was. He was being realistic as to what people did back then, and radios. We had radios back then, folks, okay? With tape players in it. Okay, so, but when you started driving, you're supposed to look in this mirror, you're supposed to check this mirror, you're supposed to know where the brake is and where the gas is and and which handle has the signal, which one does the wiper blades, which one. Yeah, I mean, there's stuff to do. How do you turn the lights on? Now you get in the car after a period of time and you do all that stuff and you're not even thinking about it, okay? And so because you're now being a person who drives a car, you're not thinking about doing the driving. You just get in the car and you drive, all right? Are you still looking at the mirrors? Yep. Are you still knowing what everything is? Yep. But now you're turning the stations, you're not even looking over anymore. You know exactly where the button is and where this is, and now we got the screens and it's like a computer screen in the car. You go tapping, you're touching things, and you're making phone calls and whatever you're doing. But you're doing it once you're familiar without a whole lot of thought, okay? Then it gets really bad is that you change and buy a new car with a whole new setup and you're like, why is the signal on this side now? Where in the world is the, whatever? And you can't figure out how to pop the cap to put your gas in. I mean, they move things around into weird places. You got to learn it all over again. But then once you learn it again, it becomes something that is what we call, back in the martial arts, we talked about reaching what we call the no-mind state. And a no-mind state doesn't mean like you don't have you're not thinking at all. It means that you don't have to think to do it. Okay, you're just in that full flow motion where something's happening and you're flowing with the reaction you're supposed to have without having to think. All right, which is important in the martial arts, because if you were throwing a punch at me or coming at me with a knife and I had to think a lot about what to do, it's too late. Okay, it is way too late. I'm already gonna get stabbed or punched or something, okay? So the same thing, like if somebody starts to swerve into your lane, if you got to think about what you're supposed to do and not just react, you're going to get smacked. And you should also know, for example, the car swerving into your lane, are you also aware of the other lane? Because you can't just swerve away from it and not necessarily hit somebody else. How much are you aware of it most times without having to think much about it? So the same thing with this walk, Tanya, is that you're new. It's great that you've brought in a bunch of stuff and that maybe it's starting to slow down the kind of fire hose of information that's coming in. What you want to do now is make sure that you've inculcated it enough so that you're using it and it's becoming part of your being. And then make sure and check your pulse to make sure that you're actually doing all that stuff, being in that way, all right? Which is where you can check that on a weekly basis on Shabbat. Friday ends your work week and you think, okay, how did I do this week? How did I walk this out? Did I struggle? Maybe you do that on a Sunday. You can see, include Shabbat in that. Did I do Shabbat right? Did I keep Shabbat? Did I make sure not to do the things I'm not supposed to do? Did I do the things I'm supposed to do? Okay, so it's about a level of awareness, self-awareness, in the context of a vertical awareness, okay? So the instruction to pray always is simply always having a vertical awareness, which then also has to be then linked to your self-awareness, to make sure that you're aligned in that, okay? Now, as far as, well, life's getting a little ho-hum, I'm not learning a whole lot of stuff, don't worry, life will give you plenty of stuff to wake you back up, okay? It's coming, I'm not threatening you, I'm not wanting to scare you, it's life, okay? All right, because listen to the teaching I did called Cling, Cleave, Hold On, there will be reasons to do that. There'll be tests of your ability to cling and cleave and hold on, all right? Okay, so that might be a good one to listen to, because life is gonna give you that. Listen to the endure and receive the crown of life. You're gonna have things happen that are gonna cause you the need to endure, all right? So there's a bunch of teachings that will help you with that. And as far as you're thinking like you're not learning as much as fast, listen to more teachings. As a matter of fact, listen to ones you already listened to again. You might learn a bunch of stuff you didn't realize was in there the first time, or the second time, or the third time. The teachings are, okay, this is one of the evidences that something's from the above, when you can listen to it more than once and keep getting more out of it, more out of it, more out of it, more out of it. Just like this book. You read it over and over again, and yet you can still keep getting more out of the same verses you keep reading. Okay? Somehow he packs more and more and more into the same thing you read already. Which is why every year when I teach this to you and I go through the Torah portions, I get a new idea to give you that he inspires to understand something in a different way or a more clear way. All right? Did that help?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, good. And one of the most important things is you should be calling here at times as needed to get that connection where we can help you, okay? Very important resource is knowing and practicing, even just to do it the first time, just to know you can do it. To call here and talk to me, talk to Elder, get that sort of connection in there, all right? So that you know that when needed, you could do that, right? We call a first initial call, if you don't have a real issue or question, we'll just call it a meet and greet. Just a chance for us to get to know you, get to know us a little bit, and understand like how long you've been on this journey and what were you doing before, and kind of have a context to know in the future when we talk to you, where you're coming from, what your experiences have been. Okay? All right, anything else?
I just had one more question. Whenever you're coming into this, it is overwhelming, and you try to put away everything that's pagan as far as like Christmas and Easter, and then you start digging in and you finding out all of these other things that are pagan, like everything is pagan when it comes to birthdays or quinceañeras or something. Where do we draw a line where, this is tradition?
I didn't hear the last part. Okay, you said like Christmas and Easter, then you started going to some other things because everybody was laughing so loud I couldn't hear you. So, like what kinds of things?
Like birthdays and quinceañeras, they all have like pagan roots.
What was the last one?
Quinceañeras. Like a quinceañera, like where you turn 15.
No, right. No, I know that. I know what that is. Okay. It's like what we do with the Sweet 16 here. It's kind of like a coming out thing for yes, I know what that is. All right. Quinceañera.
So where do we draw a line to where, yes, it has pagan ties to it, but it's not necessarily like we're not celebrating something that's pagan. We're not worshiping another god. Where do we draw that?
Okay. It has a great question. Okay. So first of all, we need to understand, is there, like you said, a direct connection to some sort of a observance towards some pagan something or other, okay? Is there some pagan element to it, which obviously you see with Christmas, Easter, those kind of things, okay? That there's absolutely clear links to pagan observances to why we ended up with those things. Now, nothing wrong with birthdays. What's the problem with birthdays is when you turn it into a celebration of rampant ego and you want everybody to come and kiss you or whatever and just treat you like you're the end-all be-all of everything. So let's not make it all about that. We can recognize the movement of time, especially significant milestones, okay? You turn, 18, that's a milestone because now you're legal age, whatever. You turn 21, now you're fully of the legal age. You turn 25, you're a quarter of a century, right? Certain things that are like you can turn 39 and that's the last age a woman ever has. And so that's a big celebration, They sort of stop at 39 and then, anyway. And then they celebrate the anniversaries of their 39th birthday. So anyway, this is my 22nd anniversary, my 39th birthday. Oh, so you're 61, okay. So now, listen, so birthdays in themselves are not pagan, okay? I don't celebrate them in the way that maybe some people, because I don't care, okay? I don't want to stop my life, do anything for a birthday. I don't want to stop to do something for your birthday either. But it's just me and my personality. It's not because I have a thing against birthdays, okay? And people get frustrated because they want to do stuff for my birthday. I was like, stop, I don't care, go away. All right, now, so yes, you can go celebrate a birthday with people if they want. My family generally just would go out to, when I was growing up, we'd just go out to a dinner and we just, recognize that someone got older and that kind of thing. So that's one thing. Now, things like these other more cultural things like the quinceañera or these Sweet 16s, everything, they're sort of birthday parties or like a debutante type of thing, and it's a coming out thing. As long as it's just a bigger version of a birthday. But I've seen what they do for those. I mean, it's like more than a wedding. I mean, it's like the money spent on those things is just stupid, okay? It's a waste of money, all right? And it's giving the girl the total wrong idea about how she should think that people should treat her in her life and spend money on it and everything else, okay? So I wouldn't be doing those things myself. If I got invited to somebody else's, I might show up. Well, I probably wouldn't show up. My wife would show up. I don't go to anything. So you guys are all laughing when I said I'd show up, and you're like, no, you wouldn't. Okay, so I'm gonna be honest. All you people know me too well. I'm like, I'd show up, and you're like, no, you wouldn't. But that's just because I'm antisocial. I don't like people. Okay, so I'm kidding. Well, half kidding. Okay, so I get just too much stuff to do to go sit at a party while people are just sitting around doing whatever. Okay, I'm too busy. And I'm not too busy for any other reason than I choose to be, okay? I got too many things I still want to do. But if you want to go, and a lot of people like to go and it's family time and it's celebration time and you get to sit and be social, then go, do these things, that's fine. Just be aware of is it being done in some way that's connected to something you don't want to be connected to, all right? You also, I want to encourage all of you, you also have the opportunity, we'll call it, to go and do some of these things and then recognize that was a mistake. I don't think I'm going to do that next time, okay? It's okay to go do something. Like I've had people tell me, well, you know, the company has an end of year party and it's really not a Christmas party and it's fine, go. And if it turns out it really wasn't what you thought, leave, okay? Or don't go next time. But if you believe them, maybe it really is just an end of year party thing. So then, okay, so go. But you could always walk out, or you could choose at least not to go again next year, okay? So if you're not sure that something's gonna be a problem, you can always just go and figure that out. Nothing's stopping you from getting up and saying, check please, I gotta go, all right? And so you can do that, okay? So some of these things that you just listed, maybe if you go, you realize, not what I thought it would be, I'm okay, I'm gonna leave. Or you might be like, you know what, this wasn't as bad as I thought. It's not too, I can deal with this, all right? And so a lot of it has to do with your comfort level. So I don't want anybody to think if I said something's okay, that means you have to do it. You might not want to do it. There are a lot of things I might say is okay, I don't want to do them, but you might, and it's fine if you do them, okay? And by the way, can all of you please not, well, how do I want to say this? Please invite my wife to stuff that you stopped inviting her to because you knew I wouldn't come. I just feel like we don't get invited to as much stuff because people know, well, Rabbi's not going to come anyway. So, you know, and even though that's probably true, I'm going to get this awful reputation, all right? I'm not a social person. I'm not shy. I'm not introverted. I just don't do well just social, okay? That's just me, all right? I want to create something, make something, build something, lead something, teach something. So if you see me in social and I look like I'm being social, it's because somebody gave me an opportunity to teach something while I'm sitting there, okay? And then I'll be fine talking about whatever it is I want to talk about, that I'm basically taking more of a teacher mode, whatever mode, okay? And so but just sitting there talking social, whatever that is, I don't know how to do that, okay? I failed that class and didn't, you know, probably skipped it because I was doing something entrepreneurial and just didn't show up. All right, okay, did that help, Tanya?
Yes, thank you so much.
So last year, my kids are getting bigger. They're 3.5 and 2.5. So last year around Christmas time, I told them basically the best way I could make a little 3-year-old understand, just basically, hey, Christmas is bad. We do not do this. You know, we observe these other feast days. Well, unfortunately, after having that conversation with him, he announced to all of his friends and family that Christmas was bad, and Yahweh doesn't like it when we do Christmas. And because of that, I've had some family members, this is on my husband's side of the family. They don't keep Torah. So I've had family members come up offended from his comment.
Her family's in Alberta and they do keep Torah, but I'm just saying something. Yes. His family's different, okay.
Yes, that's right. It's different. So, and anyway, so here we are, we're coming back to this year again, and I'm just wondering, like, how do I have this conversation with my kids, making it clear that we do not observe this holiday. There's a lot of paganism. It is bad in a way, but at the same time, helping them understand that we need to have compassion to those that don't understand
Okay,
or
all right.
see it yet.
Okay, I'm going to give you an answer from a parent who failed at this. And the reason I say that is because I have a daughter. Do you know my daughter? I have a daughter that told all of her schoolmates that Santa Claus wasn't real, okay, and tried to convince everybody that Jesus wasn't his name, that they had to call him Yeshua, and she got them doing this, and then they went home and their parents were not happy, okay? She was an incredible evangelist in her little kindergarten class, all right? And so I didn't do well with this, but the thing is, you may want to explain there's things that people do that we don't do, okay? And there's reasons why we don't do it, because we don't think that it's what we should be doing, but they don't understand the way we do. But instead of saying this is bad, this is pagan, simply say there are things to a 3-year-old. These are the things that we don't do that other people do, and there's lots of things that other people do that you don't do, okay? And so, that would be more the way I might approach it. Now, bear in mind that you might find it awkward, but I'm sitting in my favorite pizza place. I have my children sitting in the booth waiting for me to get the pizza, and my daughter's walking around the restaurant taking the Santa Clauses off the wall and throwing them out. And I said to my son, "Where's your sister?" He said, "She's taking the Santa Clauses off the wall." I said, "Get over here. You're gonna get us arrested or something, okay?" And no surprise, she's now leading you guys in praise and writing all these amazing songs, okay? And at this point, she's like, 6 or 5. I mean, she's just a little kid, but she's just running around, pulling these things off, doing these things, all right? How old? Yeah, she says about 6, okay? This is what happens when you take your eye off your kids for half a second. And I look at my son like, he's older than her. I was like, "Where's your sister?" He's like, "What's going around?" She's right there, and I'm watching her. She's pulling little taped on Santa Clauses off the wall, and she's throwing them out. Anyway, so look, it's tough, and you're gonna have to teach the kids some way. You're gonna have to deal with fallout from family and friends, and you have to look at them and say, "Hey, listen, it's a 3-year-old. This is what I taught. I can't help what he's gonna do. This is the deal, all right?" So somehow you need to communicate what you have to communicate, but also in a way that says, "But that's not what we do," doesn't mean that we need to get all upset about what they do. If you say something is bad, then he's gonna have a wonder why are other people doing it? It's bad. Well, but they don't understand that. So if you say there are things that other people do that we don't do, because we don't think they're things that we should be doing, but they think it's okay to do, that's okay, but we don't do it, all right? And I think that might be a better way to approach it and help you out with that, okay? Look, there was a member of the congregation whose little kid, every time he saw a church, he said, "Babylonian temple." How would you like your kid saying that out loud in public every time you drove by a church or walked by a church? I'm not making this up. He was like 4 years old, Babylonian temple. He couldn't say anything else, but he could say that. He was like 2, 3 years old. I mean, he was just learning how to talk. Babylonian temple. As soon as he saw a steeple, he's right pointing. So in other words, Anna, it could be worse. All right? Did that help at all?
Yes, it did. Thank you very much.
All right, good. Anything else?
Yeah, if I can squeeze in one more question.
Yep, you can.
Okay, man, this was like probably a year ago during one of your teachings. I can't remember, but it had to do with something about prayer. And I think you were telling everyone just basically we shouldn't be treating prayer like asking the same things over and over, repeating ourselves like Yahweh's a genie in a bottle. And, we're just going to keep repeating until he grants what we wishes. So, yeah, I totally get that for sure. And I'm just curious about the passage in Luke, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but it was like about some lady that went to a judge and she kept asking
until she got
over and over for
right,
something.
Right.
Yeah, so I want to bring that up just because, I thought, Yeshua was challenging, you need to continue to ask of the Father and he will give it to you eventually. So can you
Yeah, I think I've answered this before. I don't remember where I answered it. Because it comes up from time to time. Look, we can't wear him out. We're not getting him to change his mind, okay? But what's happening is, if you are going to continue to petition, it's a combination of a couple of things. One is, you're letting him know that you still have this need and you still have this thing you're aware of. But also, if you continue to petition, you also should be starting to think about why he hasn't said yes, okay? So it's possible that the person that kept petitioning eventually is because they realized there was a reason that the answer wasn't yes, and they had to go and figure out how to get to the yes because there was something they could do. All right, there was a part they hadn't done that was their part. There's all kinds of ways that we could kind of pull into this. But if you take that section by itself, this is where we have some, scriptural New Testament issues, okay? It doesn't match up with anything else in Scripture if you're gonna read it that way, where somehow we're wearing him down, and then he has to do what we want, and we push hard enough and are unrelenting in our nagging him, okay? All of a sudden we turn into the little bratty kid pulling on your pant leg going, daddy, 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 daddy. It's like, shut up, But there are parents that works, and eventually you give them what they want, so they stop. That's what we're gonna turn the Creator into that? No, okay? So we have to be asking, what could it really be talking about? I think it has to do with, don't give up on hoping and wanting something that you're hoping and wanting for. Keep pointing out, hey, I still believe that you can provide this, and I'm still waiting for it, I'm still wanting it, and still desiring it. Because sometimes a parent may let a kid just fly in the wind there a little bit to see how seriously they really want it, if they're gonna still ask for it a week later. Because some of the things these kids go crazy for, and you remember this as a kid, a week later you don't even remember what it was. You moved on to 6 other things. So if you were to continue to go before him and say, yeah, I still really need this thing, I still want this, whatever it is that you're petitioning about, he might be waiting for you to demonstrate your commitment and seriousness to it, not about nagging him. It can be interpreted very, very, unfortunately, very poorly to you thinking that somehow you can wear him down, and if you just ask enough, he'll do it. Because that's the way some people would interpret that, okay? That doesn't work. That doesn't make sense scripturally, and certainly the Creator I believe in is way bigger than that. Okay, my nagging is not even gonna be like anything that he'd even notice, okay? What he's gonna notice is me. Am I serious? Am I committed? And he might be also sitting there going, I haven't answered you because the stuff you need to do. There's a part of this that if you would do it, the rest of it will come, but you're not doing your part. And he's just sitting there going, no. And that's where you should be asking the question, I keep asking and I don't get an answer. There's gotta be something I'm missing here. That's where you can maybe call and talk to one of us, and we can help you kind of walk through understanding maybe there's a missing piece, all right? Did that help, Anna?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
All right, well, good. Let's say, well, give Jonathan some love from us as well. And also, say hi to your family up in Canada. I know they're watching.
From Lynn Loves Yah, it's a 2-parter. Says, Rabbi teaches it matters what you do. Is that only after your bubble is popped, or is it before that? Is it possible because he sees your efforts and pops your bubble? Example is of Cornelius was pleasing to God, recorded in Acts.
I think that it's not a one-size-fits-all. I think that somebody's efforts, okay, in looking for or trying to please God the best that they understand or whatever it is, can, be what prompts a bubble pop at a particular time. I also think that you could be spiraling into the abyss and he decides to pop your bubble to help get you out of that. It's not a one-size-fits-all, okay, in terms of thing with that. Now, as far as what matters, I mean that from the big picture point, okay, of like life and eternal life, eternal life and eternal death, okay, what you did before he popped your bubble really didn't make any difference because it wasn't in any context of you understanding what you needed to do or not do. Okay, so I'm not saying it didn't matter, meaning there were no consequences of it. You probably had all kinds of consequences of the dumb stuff you did before you knew better, okay? But that's not to say that he's holding the dumb stuff you did before against you, all right? It's willful disobedience, it's willful behavior against what he says that brings you the problem, not when you didn't know any better and didn't believe anything and didn't have any idea that what you did was gonna matter in any way, shape, or form. Okay? So from his point of view, well, you did a bunch of dumb stuff. That's in the past. This is your bubble pop. Now what are you going to do? Okay? From your point of view, well, some of that stuff from the past is still stuff you're struggling with because you did some stuff that left some extra baggage over the years that you're still traumatized and dramatized for and whatever you're dealing with. All right, well, that's it for Zone 1.